Welcome, everybody, back to Friar Talk. Today, we're going to be talking about Mr. Juan Soto. He has been slumping horribly this season, hitting 164, has provided very little power outside of that absolute nuke against the Mets, but he's been a point of discussion now for almost like a couple weeks after he joined the Padres because his Padre tenure has not been very good up to this point. And if you look at it, Bob Nightingale tweeted this out. The 70 games since joining the Padres, he's hit 218, 377 on base percentage, and a 383 slugging, super low, under 400 slugging for him. And then if you look at his time on the Nationals, he had 291, 427 on base percentage, and a 538 slugging. So obviously a much smaller sample size on the Padres. He seems to be kind of a struggling with just like overall. He was talking about it the other day. Just like he feels out of it, kind of like in terms of his swing. He feels like he's trying to pull everything and his swing's just kind of out of whack. But we're talking about a slugging percentage dropping 150 points, and he has not been good defensively. And basically, the only thing so far that's translated for Juan Soto to San Diego is his good approach and his ability to walk. And he's just been struggling. So we want to talk about it, talk about kind of where we're at just with him. Like, are we super concerned long term? Do we think he's going to bounce back? Stuff like that. But Chase, overall, just how are you feeling about Juan Soto right now and kind of I guess his tenure so far on the Padres?
It hasn't been good. We'll just say that. I mean, for some reason, it seems like he's gotten worse at defense since moving to left field. I don't know what that's all about. If you looked at his like baseball savant, his outfielder jump has actually gotten better than it was in the previous years, but his outs above average has now decreased than it was in the previous years. So somehow he's getting a better jump, but still making worse plays. I know he's had a couple really bad miscues in the outfield recently, especially just like letting balls drop or getting taking a really bad route and just completely missing. Um, so defensively, like we knew he wasn't going to be the best, but his flaws have definitely started to come to the front cover a little bit more and more. Because normally you'd have okay, Juan Soto, yeah, he's not going to play the greatest defense, but he's going to outslug the opponent. He's going to get on base for you a ton. He's going to get a ton of hits. He's going to get base a lot. That's what he's going to do, and he's going to get you home runs. You haven't seen that, and that is now only being exacerbated by his horrible defense too, because he's not making up for it in any way. Um, Watching his plate approaches, I know a lot of guys are saying it on Twitter and stuff, and I agree with them to an extent that he is being too passive. I know a lot of people are saying he's looking to walk every single at bat, which I think it's true to some extent. But when you don't feel like your swing is proper, you look to get on base in any way, shape, or form. Being a walk, a walk is a walk. It's as good as a single. So at least he's getting on base in some way, shape, or form. But I think at some point, this is also goes for the other Padres hitters. At some point, you can't just watch fastballs go down the middle of the plate. You can't watch first pitch strike because sometimes that is the best pitch you're going to see. And now you're down in the count. And now you're trying to claw your way back up to hopefully get even or get ahead in the count. But realistically, we don't do that all too often. I forgot which game we were watching. It was like maybe the last week, but I noticed it then. And it was like the guy was throwing like 91, 92 on average, and he was blowing it past us because it seems like we just weren't prepared for the fastball. We were just being way too passive. There was like two or three guys that watched two fastballs down the middle of the plate at 91 and didn't swing. They just sat there and watched it. Those should be the pitches that you guys are crushing, and it seems like every single guy, including Juan Soto, is doing that. And I don't know if Juan Soto has this whole. I know he's talking to Scott Boras. His free agent's coming up. It's always been rumored. How much money is Juan Soto going to make? What's his contract going to be? Well, if he continues playing like this, his stock is going to take a huge hit and probably not going to live up to that $400 million contract that everybody had him, basically locked in for.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see what's going to happen with the whole situation. Just because, I mean, Juan Soto, you still see it at times, but it's like it's to the point where now it's getting concerning. Chase, you were talking about the fastball approach a little bit, and you said, that's not just Juan Soto, but it's multiple guys. I completely agree, dude, because the Padres don't try to attack the fastball like at all. And they're one of the better teams hitting against breaking balls. I think they had like the highest average or the highest OPS against breaking balls. But when it comes to fastballs, we've talked about this for the past 3 seasons now, including this year. So you go back last year, this was the problem with the offense, and in 2021, it was also the problem with the offense. Padres would just watch fastballs down the pipe. Didn't matter if the guy was throwing 90 or if he was throwing 99. Like it really did not matter. They would just, okay, fastball down the middle, strike one. And maybe the guy throws a ball and he throws another fastball. They're just, all right, we're down 1-2, down 0-2. And I've just seen two fastballs in, the heart of the plate. Just watch them go by. That's been an issue. Like, I don't understand that approach. We've talked about it so many times, I feel like, but I then like yes, Juan Soto is kind of has more of a passive approach. Manny has more of a passive approach. We were talking before we got on. Xander and Tatis are very aggressive hitters, where not everyone else on the team is. But I would like to see Soto get a little bit more aggressive. Now, like you said, he kind of his swing has just been kind of off. So like he's finding a way to get on base more in that regard. But when he starts getting hot, I hope we see him because I think he's going to make adjustments and he's probably going to be fine. I mean, I would be very surprised if he's not, just because he has a pretty decently long resume, being one of the best hitters in the game before he was moved, and it's just been kind of bad lately. But I hope he is a lot more aggressive. Now, going back, you kind of mentioned his baseball savant. I'm going to pull up a couple of them here, just to show like the kind of change. So this is him right now. Baseball Savant pages is still looking pretty good. I mean, 90 percentiles all over the place, right? You see his chase and his walk, he's normal there. His outfielder jump somehow is 74 percentile. Outs above average, that's probably where I'd guess it around to be. Spinner speed average, he's been whiffing a lot, but like not too bad, right? Go back to this year. I mean, look, really good, much better. Whiff his way down. It was awful in the outfield last year, so improvements there. But let's go back to when he was in his prime on the Nationals and look at this year. This is right now. Look at his 2021 Nationals here. Well, where is this guy? Because he's 95 percentile in almost every hitting category, 100% chase rate, 100% walk. And that's been the only thing that's really been consistent in San Diego. Outs above average. Why is he this high of a, his outfielder jump went up this year, but look at his outs above average, way better. Okay, I'm going to skip 2020 because it's short season. 2019, outfielder jump good. Like, he's graded as a good outfielder in 2019 and 2021, his last two full seasons on the Nationals. Like, this is who the Padres thought they were getting and are still hoping they're getting, but it's really weird that he's kind of not fallen off awfully, but like these are not the same percentiles that he had. So it's interesting to see if he's going to come back to that form. If I'm betting on what he's going to do, I think he's going to finish the season strong. I think I think he's going to be the guy that the Padres expected that he's getting, but it's definitely frustrating watching him right now because Chase, you mentioned it, his defense has been bad. So when you're not getting the power and all he's doing is walking, it's like, well, isn't this guy supposed to be one of the best? Because a lot of fans haven't really watched that much of Juan Soto that are Padre fans. So overall, I'm not too concerned about the future with Juan Soto, but it is getting to the point where it's like, all right, dude, when are you going to break out? Because it's been a while now. It's been a long time now. I feel like you had the post trade deadline last year, and now you've had this early start to the season this year. But if he's looking like the exact same guy that he is right now in 2 months, that's going to be very concerning then. That's what I would say. A month or 2 months. Like, it's going to be like, dude, what happened? What happened? Because you see all this stuff and you can see that like he has not played to the caliber that he did in 2019 and 2021. 2021, top 3 MVP candidate. He easily could have taken home the award, honestly. Like, he played that well. But we'll see what happens with him. But I don't know, Chase. Anything else you wanna mention on him, or maybe just the Padres in general in terms of their lackluster offense? Because you got shut out back-to-back games the last 2 nights, so it's not just him. It's definitely the whole lineup right now is struggling to generate runs.
Stop taking fastballs down the middle for a strike when you can try to hit it instead. Like I said earlier, like the reason Tatis and Xander are such great examples of the aggressive approaches, they at least swing at everything that's in the middle of the plate. They may not make contact with it. I mean, the patient approach works for Manny, but at the same time, Manny still picks up the bat and swings it. He fouls off a lot of pitches. He fouls off a lot of pitches until he gets his pitch, but at least he's still swinging the bat and showing that he's either on the fastball or on the breaking ball, and it gets in the pitcher's head. You can't just sit there and take one, two, all right, now I have to fight. No, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage in order to get to whatever approach the Padres have you on right now. Just be a little bit more aggressive. I get taking first pitches. I get trying to have the passive approach, but there is a thing is being too passive. As for Juan Soto, I think the offense is going to be fine. Eventually, they'll figure out what's going on with his swing and everything. My main concern is his defense really going to take that much of a step back as it has the past couple years that he might be a liability in the outfield? And then the conversation is going to be, well, should he just be a DH if he's really that bad of a fielder, which shown 2019 and 2021, he was a great outfielder. So what happened these past 2 years? That's sort of more concerning me than that.
I like that a lot. I think that's the accurate take on Juan Soto because I think he's going to be fine offensively. But dude, it's because when we've seen Juan Soto, like we've known, like, oh, he's not that good of an outfielder. Well, why was he graded out so good in those other years? Like, and it's not like his outfielder jump or his arm strength or anything has like drastically changed. It's been roughly the same. It's just if you using baseball savant, you look at his outs above average, it's just completely fallen off. And he has looked really bad in the outfield. And there's been a lot of miscues, a lot of plays like that where like there was one the other day where like Grisham's coming in behind him, he doesn't even like realize. So that's I think probably the biggest concern with him. But I don't know. I think that it's definitely true. If it's a couple months down the road and we're still having these same conversations, that will be like extremely concerning at that point. But I do think he's going to bounce back. I do think his offense is going to come back to life. Cannot say the same about him defensively. Definitely cannot. But yeah. So anyone listening, let us know. What do you think? Do you think Juan Soto is going to come back, like have a little bit of a bounce back here, either this month, next month, sometime soon, or do you think that that he's really struggling, that you don't believe in Juan Soto anymore? Because I definitely do, but I understand why people get concerned because he's been on the Padres for, what is it, 70 games now? And it's just like, all right, dude, like, is it 70? Yeah, 70 games so far. So, and now the Padres are in, probably hopefully the biggest offensive struggle that they have, getting shut out back-to-back nights, but got to see a little bit of a bounce back. So yeah, let me know what you think. What is your feeling about Juan Soto and him bouncing back this season? We'll be back tomorrow night. We'll do a series recap stream. And then we're talking Fernando on Thursday. We'll do a video on Thursday. And then Friday, we'll do a quick kind of conversation about what's going to happen to the Padres pitching rotation when Joe Musgrove returns. But with that said, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to y'all soon.